Hello and welcome to the final stage of this year's 2022 Women's Tour. Today the riders are going to be facing 142 kilometres as they race from here in Chipping Norton to the finish line in Oxford to determine who's going to be crowned this year's champion. And after all the fireworks yesterday, it's all still to play for. In stark contrast to the previous day in Wales, Stage 5 began in glorious sunshine as a peloton set off from Pembury Country Park. The route was uphill from the off, with 2 Category 1 climbs in the first 30 kilometres. The first at Pontiates Hill saw Elise Shabby and Christine Majerus resume their fight for the Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey. Majerus was first over the top, but Shabby was right on a wheel and limited her losses to just 1 point. Joss Loudon of the Uno X Pro cycling team made a break before the second climb at Crubin. The British rider claimed maximum points at the summit, and once again Elise Shabby was second and extended her lead over Christine Majerus to 16 points. The yellow jersey and the GC contenders were in the peloton monitoring the gap. The first pillar sprint at Nant Garedig was won by Joss Loudon. But it all came back together for the second at Llangdog, which was won by Clara Caponi. With the Black Mountain looming up ahead, the attacks began.
Now Longo Borghini goes. Joss Loudon out of the saddle here.
Elisa Longo Borghini, who launches another move.
Ashley Moorman-Passio of ST Works takes it up. Kasia Niewiadoma now launches her move. It looks like the stage is going to go to Elisa Longo Borghini. Kasia Niewiadoma digs deep, but Longo Borghini takes it for Trek Segafredo.
So after Stage 5, the GC couldn't be any closer. Grace Brown and Elisa Longo Borghini tied on the same time, but the Australian rider remains in yellow on countback. Kasia Niewiadoma is third, just 2 seconds back, and fourth is Alex Manley at 20 seconds. Well, I'm delighted to say that I'm joined by Hugh from Sweet Spot, the race organisers for the Women's Tour. I mean, it's been a fantastic week, hasn't it?
It's been a great week. It started off with the weather not being so kind to us on Monday, but now here we are in Chipping Norton. It's a beautiful day, and we've got a massive crowd building to start the race off. Yeah,
and no rest then, Hugh. Of course, it's a men's tour starting in September.
Yeah, no peace for the wicked, Hannah. We've got 3 months to go, probably to the day where we're starting in Aberdeen, and now we've illustrated this week that we can do the women's tour without the need for a title sponsor. But in order for us to do all the things we want to achieve with this race and the Tour of Britain, the search is now on to find somebody that can come on board and take this race and the men's tour onto an entirely another level. Well, thanks for speaking to us, Hugh. I know you're as excited as I am for the race to start, of course, with the things being so tight at the top of the GC standings.
Winning on Stage 4 was pretty fun, and yesterday my team rode amazing for me, so it was special.
Actually, Stage 4, I really liked it, especially because I got really eager in the sprint and I thought I could win that. It just passed by like Formula 1, and yesterday win was, it was the cherry on the cake of a very good week with the team. I saw many kids on the road, and I really appreciate that, because I think sport is health and also it's education.
It's been really special because my in-laws have been here at the race, and my husband, so I've had my own personal little cheer squad. Well, I'm scared of you because we're equal, and obviously we're going to have a bit of a battle. I think it's going to come down to seconds and a bit of a fight in the intermediate sprints.
I need to try my very best to do the intermediate sprints, actually, and I'm normally never contesting a sprint, and I'm a stone in a sprint, so it's nice. Like, in the end, whatever comes out, it will be a fair victory, and it's gonna be nice.
It will be fun also with Kasia, because all 3 of us aren't really...
Oh yeah, she's also sprinting.
Yeah, aren't really sprinters, so I'm sure some people will have a good laugh.
Yeah, surely. But not with you. You're always sprinting. Like, you sprint good, but me and Kasia, come on.
It would be my first tour win at World Tour level, also in front of my family and with my team having worked so well for me this week. I think it'll be super special.
racing here in the UK is always something special because of the crowds, because of the people here, and it would be nice, actually. It would be a very nice week.
Remember, it's not just a two-horse race. Of course, Kasia Niewiadoma is just 2 seconds back. Let's hear from her and some of the other riders. What's your plan then for the race today?
I think to just go for the bunny sprints. I think that that's the way how I could gain some extra seconds. To be realistic, I feel like the finish is unreachable for me with all the sprinters we have here. Yet I will try to maybe surprise the others for the bunny sprints.
It's really, really important to have this race and to showcase what women's cycling actually is. We don't obviously have lots of racing at this level in the UK. It was really good to have the London Classic just before as well, because we've sort of had the double header back to back, which I think it's been really good and hopefully will inspire lots of young riders.
It's been pretty tough. The British roads are never easy, are they? But yeah, we've had a bit of everything, some sprint days, and then the last 2 stages really have been really difficult. But no, it's been good. We have Micah still in the sprinter's jersey, so that's really nice for the team.
How have you found this week?
Yeah, it's been amazing. We've had a bit of everything, haven't we? Flat, hilly, rain, sunshine, and I can't believe we're on stage 6. It's just flown by.
So you're the highest placed home rider so far on the GC?
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it, to be honest with you. If you said that at the start of the week, I wouldn't have believed you. So we'll definitely try and protect that position as much as we can today.
Let's take a look then at what the riders are going to be facing on today's route. After heading off from Chipping Norton, the riders take on the first Queen of the Mountains climb at Butcher's Hill before heading south to Queen of the Mountains 2 at Burford. Shortly following is a sprint at Carterton, and then some 70 kilometres further is a second sprint at Burcott. A 20-kilometre run into the finish at Oxford will see the curtain drop on the 8th edition of this race and a new Women's Tour champion. Affectionately known as Chippy by the locals, Chipping Norton is a historic town in the West Oxfordshire district. This bustling market town is perched on the highest point in the Oxfordshire Cotswolds, so it's the country's highest town. Chipping Norton was once a centre for the Cotswolds wool trade and was given a royal charter by King John in 1205. Oxford, the city of dreaming spires, has been home to royalty and scholars for over 800 years. It's now a bustling cosmopolitan location, mixing its historic university alongside a growing tech community. The finish of this year's Women's Tour will take place on St Giles, one of Oxford's most historic streets. I can't wait for the race to get started. Let's get on with the action then and hand you over to our commentary team for the final time for stage 6 of the 2022 Women's Tour.
The 6th and final stage of the Women's Tour on the line, 142.9 kilometres, starting here in Chipping Norton, heading to Oxford, and we couldn't have asked for a better scenario than this. Grace Brown in that yellow jersey, level on time with Elisa Longo-Borghini, 2 seconds to Kasia Niewiadoma. And in the points jersey, the pink breast cancer now jersey of Lorena Wiebes, and the green jersey for Elise Chabet. That Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey is secure. Micah van der Down is in the Pilar Red Sprints jersey. That competition is also sewn up.
It is, in a nice situation for both of those riders, Micah van der Down and Elise Chabet, to come into today's stage knowing that their leads in the respective classifications are unassailable. They only have to finish the stage to go on to win that jersey come the end of stage 6.
So 82 riders taking the start today. It's a beautiful sunny day, 19 degrees Celsius, 23 to 25 km/h westerly winds. So we'll see if that plays a part here in the Oxfordshire countryside today. Importantly, we've got 2 intermediate sprints to come, 91.7 and 21.7 kilometres to go in Carterton and Burcott. 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds on them, Hannah, and 10, 6 and 4 on the line.
They're going to be a key feature of today's stage, and for the teams who are wanting to try and take the general classification victory, those bonus seconds are going to be vital. And the the upper hand that they do have and the advantage that those teams who are battling it out for the general classification, with Maaike van der Duin sewing up that classification, you would hope, you would think at that point she's not going to get herself involved, perhaps save herself for the back end of the stage.
We're through kilometre 0. We are off and racing. The closest finish in the history of the Women's Tour, 2 seconds in 2019 between winner Lizzie Deignan and Kasia Niewiadoma. Potentially, Hannah, it could be even closer today.
The way that the classification has been worked out, because they are level on time, were the stage finishes of the previous 5 stages all added together. Grace Brown with 110 from her 5 stage previously and 134 for Elisa Longo-Borghini, hence why Grace Brown still remains in the yellow leaders jersey at this Women's Tour as the peloton heads towards the first climb of the day.
The peloton still all together, 125 kilometres to go. Our first objective of the day, Butchers Hill. The summit comes with 122.5 kilometres to go. A 1.3 kilometre climb, averaging 4.2%. But Elise Chabet in the Skoda Queen of the Mountains green jersey, 50 points to Christine Majerus' 34. She can't be caught today. We think, Hannah, today the objective for Elise Chabet will be to work for Kasia Niewiadoma, who's at 3rd spot on GC.
That will be Elise Chabet's key role today, to make sure that she looks after the interests of Kasia Niewiadoma and really plays that team role. She has nothing to worry about in her Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey. You can just see Chabet up towards the front there in that green jersey, just patrolling things. Looks like it is Niewiadoma in the wheel of Chabet, so as you say, Marty, playing that teammate role.
And Clara Caponi in the FDJ jersey, she's in front of teammates Grace Brown. Just at the back here, the Cams Basso riders, they've had an outstanding tour. Multiple breakaways, Danny Shrewsbury, Sammy Stewart. Becky Story yesterday, 9th place for Becky Story on the mountaintop finish.
It's been brilliant. She's the best British place rider in the general classification too. And this is a shot of Elisa Longo-Borghini, who currently sits in 2nd overall in the general classification. Sitting quite far back, I think, in this peloton here. When you see where Kasia Niewiadoma is sitting in the centre of your screen, we've always seen Grace Brown, the yellow leaders jersey, up towards the front and being protected. There she is in the wheel of Clara Caponi. For me, it's a dangerous position to be in for Longo.
You never know what could happen out on the road, so but we know the skill and the experience of Elisa Longo-Borghini and how quickly she can get herself up towards the front. But you can see how tight, how twisty, the rise and fall, the way this route runs today. As you said, there could be a split in the group, you know, anything can happen. We're going through the start of the Queen of the Mountains point today, and they're getting quite a kick into it.
This is another key point. If some teams really want to push things up towards the front, and one team who have been very present at the front of the peloton is the team in the orange and purple, Human Powered Health, and Mika Kruger just leading things through there. So many teams have very different options and strategies for today's stage.
Clara Caponi bringing that yellow jersey through towards the front. They're just keeping her up to the front and out of trouble. Talita de Jong, the purple of Live Racing Extra, also getting herself through. You see the climb just starting to rise ahead of the riders. As we said, the Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey is already sewn up for the 2nd year in a row for the Swiss rider Elise Chabet, and for Canyon SRAM, 3rd year in a row the champions in that jersey.
And Elise Chabet going from strength to strength in many different races, picking up that Queen of the Mountains jersey.
She's very much the Queen of the Mountains in the peloton at the moment, is Elise Chabet, and what a battle she's had with Christine Majerus, who you can see in that red, white and light blue jersey. We're heading up towards the summits, and at the moment no one wanting to sprint it out for the points at the top. So much resting on the general classification today and those intermediate sprints ahead.
Just see up towards the front of the peloton on the left-hand side of our screen was the figure of the British rider Abby Smith, who's coming back from illness and injury and has been a real key figure for the EF Education Tibco Silicon Valley Bank team in helping Veronica Ewers, Krista Dobell-Hickok this week.
Vicky Kroger on the right. You picture that orange and purple jersey of Human Powered Health for FDJ New Aquitaine Futuroscope surrounding the yellow jersey of Grace Brown. They've got to pilot her all the way into the finish. Today, we've got now intermediate sprints to come, 6 bonus seconds for the winners throughout that one. And Grace Brown, you would say on paper, the fastest sprinter out of the top 3, heading up towards the summit here. And the peloton just content just to ride along here at the moment.
They've got a nice warm welcome from the crowds who've made it out to the first Skoda Queen of the Mountain of the day here at Butchers Hill. Just take a look at the crowds that will greet them when they crest the top.
Talita de Jong in the centre there, and that purple jersey of Live Extra making her World Tour debut with that team this week. And I think it's been a good start. The former World Cyclocross champion has been up to the front. She's been in the breakaways as well this week. Georgia Williams in that white, pink and blue jersey for Team Bike Exchange. She's got Alex Manley right on the wheel, and Abby Smith just asking some of the crowd just to watch their feet.
Alex Manley's been really impressive this week, and we weren't quite sure what to expect of her, and she still sits in 4th overall in the general classification, as we see terrific support and a wave there from Marta Lack, former Polish champion, to the fan with the Polish flag at the side, also supporting Kasia Niewiadoma too.
That's one Queen of the Mountains down, one more to come with 96.8 to go. The hill at Burford, and then those all-important bonus sprints. Heading towards the second Queen of the Mountains today, the hill at Burford. So much resting on the general classification and the intermediate sprints today that at the moment nothing has managed to get clear here on stage 6 of the Women's Tour. We're heading to Oxford, finish for the first time. Some beautiful Oxfordshire and historic countryside that the riders will be passing through today. Looking at the front of the peloton on your left there, Canyon SRAM starting to bring Kasia Niewiadoma up towards the front. Hannah, today, again, we're focusing on these bonus sprints, but there are different scenarios that could play out here. Kasia Niewiadoma perhaps might not want to focus 100% on those intermediate sprints. There's sections where if it's open, you could try and split the peloton.
There's a real dangerous section with around 71 kilometers to go where the peloton will make a left-hand turn. They'll go into a cross tailwind, and that could be a real dangerous part of the course, and especially where teams and riders need to be really attentive and aware that that could have the potential of some echelons, some crosswinds, and especially with the gusts of the wind upwards of 45 kilometers per hour today, it's not all down to those intermediate sprints and those bonus seconds.
Human Powered Health, though, very keen to try and get something started here on the front for Canyon SRAM, though they've done a great job in delivering Elise Shabby to that Queen of the Mountains classification. We start the climb, the hill at Burford, 500 meters, averaging 6.8%, and it's one of those climbs that just kicks up in front of us.
And you can see exactly what you have in front. There's a lot of space on the road, it's wide, there's plenty of space for the riders. The crowds are terrific here in Burford, and things starting to have movement up towards the front. Looks like Elise Shabby, the leader in the green Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey, starts to make a move, make an acceleration along with Ashley Moorman-Passio. There goes Kasia Niewiadoma on the left.
Niewiadoma, though, look at the gaps just starting to open there as Kasia Niewiadoma, the yellow jersey, very attentive. Ashley Moorman-Passio is there, so is Lorena Wiebes, but where is Elisa Longo-Borghini at this point?
And this is what we were talking about earlier on, of the importance of your position within the peloton. And there is Elisa Longo-Borghini. She's sitting in around 12th position at this point, so still a lot of work to do.
There is indeed. It was interesting to see there whether Kasia Niewiadoma was going to continue with that attack, perhaps because Grace Brown was with her that she decided not to.
You can just see Niewiadoma take a look over her left shoulder, saw that the yellow jersey was in the wheel there. Ashley Moorman-Passio, and there is gaps. Lorena Wiebes, interestingly, also latched herself onto that group.
So there's confirmation of your result. Kasia Niewiadoma takes 4 ahead of Grace Brown, but that Queen of the Mountains all sewn up by Chabet. That's not really why they were going for that climb. Over the top though, and Ashley Moolman-Passio is quite keen to try and get something going here.
These 4 riders are working very, very well together. Elisa Longoborghini has missed out here, so the 2 riders who sit in 1st and 3rd in the general classification, for Moolman-Passio, it's beneficial for her to work here. She's sitting in 5th in the general classification. She senses her opportunity to try and move up, especially with the omission of Alex Manley here.
So we just saw the from the aerial shot, the Lecole Wahoo jersey just bringing and closing that gap down, and with it came Elisa Longoborghini as the group just comes back together. So that's both of our Queen of the Mountains points behind us today. Grace Brown takes the opportunity to have a drink. You can see that chase, and the teammates of Grace Brown and Clara Caponi just trying to get up there to help the yellow jersey and their team leader. Our attention now and our focus will shift to Carterton. 91.7 kilometers to go, and our first intermediate sprint of the day. But that gives us a glimpse of what Kasia Niewiadoma is potentially thinking today.
A beautiful shot of the countryside that these riders will make their way through, but no time for the riders to really enjoy what Oxfordshire has to offer. And the damage that's been done from that Queen of the Mountain and the one long line that the peloton find themselves in.
They've really got this all lined out now, and they really will start to wind this up on the front. Expect multiple teams, and here they come. Trek Segafredo with Loretta Hansen on the front. Eleanor Backstead just moving up towards Audrey Cordon-Rago. They're getting Elisa Longoborghini into a position for this sprint.
It's a fast running into this first intermediate sprint. You can just see the trees blowing in the background. It's a slight tail crosswind here for these riders, and Trek Segafredo wanting to take things up early.
Anna Everson here for Team Coop High-Tech Products, just on the back of the group. You can see though the movement around the front of the peloton. Trek Segafredo, they do this well, these long lead outs. Here comes Pfeiffer Georgie in that white British Champions jersey.
Also, the European champion of Ellen van Dijk moving around the outside of the peloton to come and assist her teammates of Trek Segafredo, and the horsepower that she has here, and the lead out that we've seen her do time and time again this week.
They're going to put the whole team on the front now, our Trek Segafredo, to try and take these 3 bonus seconds. So level on time going into today's stage. The battle for these pillar intermediate sprints are so crucial, and it's Ellen van Dijk that's leading it out here. Where though our FDJ, they've got to protect Grace Brown in these sprints.
They do, and this is a real key point of the into the intermediate sprint. Also, where is the team of Canyon Stram with Kasia Niewiadoma? At the moment, she's very well protected, she's very well hidden, but with it being so fast and so open, so much space on the road to be able to move up, Trek Segafredo have complete control into this pillar intermediate sprint.
We just caught a glimpse of Amelia Farlene start. You can see her there in that blue-red jersey with the white sleeves, just with Clara Caponi on the wheel. They've got to try and lead this one out. Grace Brown on paper, the fastest sprinter out of the 3 at the top of the standings. And if she can take this first sprint, she'll give herself a buffer with 1 more sprint and those 10, 6 and 4 seconds on the line.
You can just catch a glimpse of that yellow jersey moving up in the centre of the road there, getting onto her teammate's wheel of Clara Caponi. Maëlle Grossetet is up there too to try and protect the wheel of Brown.
You can see that pink jersey as well of Lorena Wiebes. Will she be targeting the stage victory today in the sprint? And again, you can see the way these roads are just rising and falling, really kicking the riders over these rises. But it's still Ellen van Dijk on the front from Loretta Hansen, Eleanor Backstead, Audrey Cordon-Rago, and then Elisa Longoborghini. And now on the right of your picture, you can see there in those pink, yellow, and purple multicolored jerseys of Canyon Stram, Tiff Cromwell now coming through towards the front. Kasia Niewiadoma right on the wheel with Elise Chabet, the Skoda Queen of the Mountains, just acting as that sweeper role on the wheel of the Polish rider.
And so important to have a rider to do that role, to try and take the wheel of Kasia Niewiadoma, just to protect the wheel of the Polish rider. But at the moment, it's still Trek Segafredo, Tiffany Cromwell, despite her efforts to try and move up Niewiadoma, unable to do so at the moment. And here comes the team of UAE Team ADQ with Sofia Bertizzolo.
So Sevilla Bertizzolo's had a great week as well, and here now we start the lead out. Loretta Hansen with Eleanor Backstead, Audrey Cordon-Ragot just trying to fight and dominate that position. Look at those blue, red and white jerseys of FDJ as Clara Cavoni swings around the outside. Grace Brown's got to stay on the wheel of that teammate's got to get the lead out here in towards the finish. So Trek Segafredo on the left, FDJ through the centre. It's Backstead that's leading this one out. The yellow jersey just finds her way out here as Caponi launches the sprint for the line. Caponi through the centre. Here goes Grace Brown, the yellow jersey. Nuvia Doma right on the wheel. Longo Borghini though on the left as Grace Brown comes through. Brown takes those 3 seconds. But on the line there, Hannah, it looked like Audrey Cordon-Ragot might have taken seconds away from her teammate.
This is where Grace Brown starts to make a move, and just take a look at the size of the gear that Grace Brown is in. She gets that early jump. Cassia Nudoma has a little bit of work to do, and here you can see the look over the left-hand shoulder of Audrey Cordon-Ragot. She knows she's made a mistake here because she's taken seconds away from the Italian champion, her teammate Elisa Longo Borghini at this point.
And there's confirmation of your results. So Grace Brown takes 3, Nuvia Doma takes 1, but Audrey Cordon-Ragot takes those 2 seconds potentially. Could that be costly? This is your virtual general classification now. Grace Brown leading Longo Borghini by 3 and Nuvia Doma by 4. Further down the road, there was an attack by Laura Tomasi of UAE ADQ. She was joined by 18 riders at the front of the race. None of the contenders for the general classification, but it did include riders such as Ellen van Dijk. And as they headed towards the second sprint of the day, they would finally be reeled in. As we headed towards sprint 2 at 21.7 to go in Burcott, 3 riders had gone clear. This meant that no bonus seconds were on offer to the peloton behind. Anna Iversen led through and took 3 points ahead of Mika Kröger and Alessia Patuelli. 10 kilometers to go, and Mika Kröger now launches a move out of the breakaway group. Alessia Patuelli straight on her. Anna Iversen, though, the rider that started this move, Hannah, just starting to lose contact.
You can just start to see that fatigue set in for the Norwegian rider Iversen of Team Coop High-Tech Products. Meanwhile, it's Team DSM who have their sights set on that stage victory with Lorena Wiebes. Of course, she's already got 2 stage victories to her name at the moment, and they will be wanting to try and close this gap, but with a strong rider in Kröger on the right-hand side in this group, she's not going to make it easy for them.
So DSM through the centre in those black jerseys with the blue stripes. Eleanor Backstead on the right of your picture there in the white and blue for Trek Segafredo. Elisa Longo Borghini on the left in that green, white and red Italian champions jersey. A breakaway group, though. It looks like their move out in front here is going to be doomed. Do you think it's a mistake, though, of FDJ to almost give away those sprint seconds?
Good question. They did have the upper hand in that first intermediate sprint. You saw the strength and power from Grace Brown, and whilst they did take it convincingly over her closest rivals in Elisa Longo Borghini and Kasia Nuvia Doma, it could play vital come the finish. And I think especially because Team DSM want to bring this back for a sprint. It looks like Team Bike Exchange Jayco also want to bring it back for a sprint. We weren't too far out from the finish at 21.7k to go if they were to keep it all together.
So 10, 6 and 4 bonus seconds on the line. So Grace Brown coming into the finish of this race has a 3-second advantage now over Elisa Longo Borghini. Kasia Nuvia Doma is close to within a second of that second place on the podium. We think about our sprinters, though. Those 10 seconds, you're going to think we're going to go to someone like Wiebes. Barbara Gorishki could get up there as well for Team Movistar. Manley, as you've mentioned as well, there are other options in this bunch sprint. Chloe Hosking for Trek Segafredo.
Don't forget about Mike van der Dern of Le Col Wahoo, who today hasn't featured in any of these intermediate sprints. She will be fresh per se coming into this finale, maybe get her chance, her opportunity, the young Dutch woman, but also the likes of someone like Corinne Lebecki of Jumbo-Visma you can't discount.
Iversen finally has to let the 2 breakaway companions go. Patuelli presses through to the front. Mika Kröger really dedicated to try and keep these 2 off the front. It is going to be a tall order. Looking at that overhead shot, though, at the moment, FDJ are around Grace Brown, and they have have got to be so mindful of the Australian coming in towards the finish. You've got to put that rider behind her just to make sure that you know where she is, surround that yellow jersey and just pilot her into the finish.
You've got to be really vigilant at this point, and when you take a look at all the teams protecting their leaders at this point in the race, FDJ Nouvelle Aquitaine for Futuroscope, they've got such a big job on their hands, and a position which comes relatively new to them into this season in terms of defending an overall general classification. The likes of Elisa Longoborghini, she's been in this position before, taking the overall victory in Beira back in 2019, a UCI Women's World Tour stage victory where she won 2 seconds ahead of Amanda Spratt. Likewise with Cassia Niewiadoma, she won this race back in 2017. And if Grace Brown can seal the deal come the end of this race, she'll be the first Australian woman to do so, to win a UCI Women's World Tour stage race since 2018 when Spratt won in Macamé and Beira.
Kröger and Patuelli still holding on at the front, but you can see the peloton are closing down behind Team DSM. They know how to do this perfectly, but again, you can see the patience of DSM. Just one rider on the front, and then you look back just to that pink and white jersey you can see of Lorena Wiebes. She's got Charlotte Kool, who could also be an option in that sprint. We've seen 2 stage wins already for Wiebes. She loves to pay back the lead outs of Charlotte Kool, and the team DSM are also mindful that they need to give Charlotte Kool run outs at options as well.
They do, and I think the vital part of that team that they do have, and someone who can navigate their way into a tricky and technical finale, is the British champion Pfeiffer Georgie. We've seen what a tremendous job she's done for Lorena Wiebes.
Elise Chabbey now moves through to the front in that green Skoda Queen of the Mountains jersey for Canyon SRAM, looks back over her shoulder. She'll be looking to see where Cassia Niewiadoma is on that run in towards the finish. We know from the previous sprints this week that Grace Brown, perhaps the fastest sprinter out of that group, when they came in towards the finish, she out-sprinted Niewiadoma and Longoborghini for the finish, but she can't be complacent in this run in towards the line. Kröger and Patuelli. Kröger so dedicated to this. This is what Mika Kröger does best, though, is that she's so gutsy, always believes that she can hold off the peloton, the Olympic team pursuit champion.
She's an incredible time trialist. She's an incredible pursuiter. She's come off the back of a victory in the individual pursuit at the Track Nations Cup in Glasgow only a few weeks ago. And Kröger, the power that she has and the persistence that she'll have, she won't give up without a fight here. And Patuelli just starting to fatigue now and still goes through, but for Kröger, she doesn't gain any slipstream from this young Italian rider.
It's been a good day out for UAE ADQ. It's a technical run in towards the finish, Hannah. As a lead out and organising that lead out, how would you approach this finish?
It's very technical. It's going to be a fast run into this finale where you've got a wide road into 3 kilometres to go. There's 13 central islands for the riders to avoid in the middle of the road, and you have some twists and turns, especially into that final 1 kilometre where you have a fast, tight right-hand corner followed by a left at around 650 metres to go. With around 500 metres to go, you have that penultimate right-hand turn, and at around 200 metres to go, you have a left turn. The key thing to think about into this finale is the road starts to rise at 1 kilometre to go, so it's not a flat run into the finish. Really have to be mindful of your position here.
And maybe Canyon SRAM and Cassia Niewiadoma might fancy their chances of taking a flyer with a K to go. We saw her having a go on the Skoda Queen of the Mountains point earlier on in the stage today, and history tells us that's the sort of move we would expect from the Polish rider.
She will fight all the way until the end to try and take this yellow jersey off the shoulders of Grace Brown. She won't go down without a fight, and that is the nature of Cassia Niewiadoma. She races on the passion, as you see. 5 kilometres to go. It's a pat on the back from the Olympic team pursuit champion Mika Kröger to Patuelli. Their day is over and they are caught.
And it's all about the bunch sprint now. You could just see the FDJ riders just directing the teammates behind. Those riders are about to be caught. Bike Exchange Jayco in those white, pink and blue colours. Will it be for Alex Manley today? Ariana Fidanza, also a fast finisher. Trek Segafredo on the left. They take up this position. They dominate. They fight for their piece of road.
What is really important for Trek Segafredo, and something that they do day by day, is to pick one side of the road to be on. They're not in the middle getting swamped by the other teams, the other riders. They stick to one side of the road and they guard it with their life. And so they discourage any other team to try and take away their spot on the right-hand side of the road. We've seen this, and they can really take control of the pace here.
And that's what we're seeing at the moment from FDJ. They're having to fight through the centre. They're getting washed away. We call it that washing machine effect, don't we? And they've got to surround the yellow jersey. And at the time, if there was a problem with 3 kilometres to go, Brown would be given the time of the group that she's in. But you can see here she's lost the wheel of her teammate. They've got to get someone on the wheel of the yellow jersey.
Whereas Trek Segafredo or even Bike Exchange Jayco on the opposite side of the road, they have a more linear effort here. For FDJ, they aren't being very efficient. As you go through 4 kilometers to go, they're wasting a lot of energy here, and you can start to see that the team, they have lost each other through here. A couple of bike lanes opened up to Grace Brown, to the teammate of Clara Caponi. She go to one of these wide sections of road, and this is where teams now find their position to come through. Nicole Wahoo down the centre with the turquoise helmets.
See Gladys Verhulst through the centre, and Grace Brown lost about 10 bike lengths off the back wheel of her teammate out of that corner. They have got to be so careful now. She has got a teammate back in there. It's Kristen Faulkner on the front now for Team Bike Exchange Jayco. On the left of your picture is Ellen Van Dijk in that European Champions jersey. Keeps the train moving on the right there for Trek Segafredo. Longa Borghini with Chloe Hosking right on the wheel, but here comes Tiff Cromwell tucked down in that yellow-pink multicolored jersey of Canyon SRAM with Elise Chabet right on the wheel for Kasia Nuviadoma.
Nuviadoma just tracking every move of the Italian champion, and Movistar starting to move through with those navy blue jerseys to look after the interests of Barbara Gorishki.
This is better from FDJ from that helicopter shot. They've got the yellow jersey as we go through 3 kilometers to go. Amelia Farlane takes a glance back over the shoulder. Grace Brown on the wheel now of Clara Caponi. She has got to stick to the wheel of the French rider who won the opening stage here. Like laser sharp focus now for Grace Brown as Caponi goes through, but Grace Brown gets squeezed back there as her teammate moves forward.
You can see from that helicopter shot the ebbing and flow of the peloton as they try to find the wheels, find their teammates, try and take some shelter where possible. It's really, really open and exposed here. It's wide. As Grace Brown moves up, she follows the wheel of the rider from Live Racing Extra.
Just makes that move, uses the move of Tennille Campbell of Bike Exchange Jayco, who's coming up to add to the lead out now of that team. Manley and Fidanza, their sprinters. Grace Brown, the yellow jersey, still there, but on her own. She's got to find the wheels of those teammates just ahead of her. The pink and white jersey you can see now, though, of Lorena Wiebes now starting to come through as SD Works move up on the left.
Looking after the interests of Christine Majerus, a finish that should suit her. Previously a 2-time stage winner in the Women's Tour. As they go through 2 kilometers to go, it's Tennille Campbell of Bike Exchange Jayco who leads things with the best interest in Ariana Fidanza and Alex Manley.
But Amelia Farlane and Clara Caponi have just come through to the front, and the yellow jersey is miles back at the moment. The 2 FDJ riders on the front. Brown is nowhere near the teammates here at the moment.
This is really unfortunate, and this is where the importance of that communication comes from. The riders round the outside, you can just see the yellow jersey coming round. She's coming the long way, pushing the win for herself. She isn't able to have any teammates to use that slipstream to bring her up towards the front here. And take a look at Longo Borghini sitting in 3rd position at this point on the wheel of Audrey Cordon-Ragot.
It's Eleanor Backstead leading out, who hands over now to Audrey Cordon-Ragot. Elisa Longo Borghini, we saw her take 5th in a bunch sprint earlier on in the week. Trek Segafredo, Elisa Longo Borghini and Audrey Cordon-Ragot have done this throughout their career. The 2 of them, they ride so well in tandem. Longo Borghini has got Chloe Hosking on the wheel. Is she going to lead this one out for the Australian, or is she just acting as the minesweeper on the wheel as they come up now? Longo Borghini in perfect position as Audrey Cordon-Ragot takes this corner. 1 kilometer to go. Longo Borghini sitting 3rd wheel. Movistar up towards the front. The big question here at the moment is, where is the yellow jersey?
The yellow jersey is nowhere to be seen up towards the front at the moment, and take a look at how long this peloton is. If you're out of position, it's going to be incredibly difficult to move up. It's Longoborghini leading things out, followed by Caponi is there, Guerishki is there. There is Numanova and Christine Majerus, but where is the yellow jersey on the shoulders of Grace Brown?
We're just seeing some of the FDJ riders a little bit further down the group. You can see now as we snake through these final twists and turns as they move up out of that corner. It's Majerus on the front from Longoborghini. Caponi is right there. Here comes Lorena Wiebes on the outside in that pink jersey. They're now lining up for this final corner. Longoborghini is there. Caponi right on the wheel. They just disappear into behind the buildings. Take this final corner. It's Caponi that's going to lead out of this final turn. Longoborghini is right there. Wiebes is there. Numanova is there. Caponi, Longoborghini and Wiebes as she comes over the top. It's Lorena Wiebes is going to come through and take the stage, but where is Lisa Longoborghini? Is it second or third for Longoborghini? Caponi there defending for the yellow jersey of Grace Brown. There she is crossing the line. Oh, this is going to come right down to it. Did Longoborghini take 6 or 4 seconds? Numanova closed fast on the line.
And this was the moment where you took the final left-hand turn. Caponi leading things out, and take a look at the speed and the acceleration from Lorena Wiebes on the right-hand side here. Numanova coming up very fast for Live Racing Extra, but at this point, Caponi and Elisa Longoborghini shoulder to shoulder. Have they done it? They have.
They have indeed. By virtue of those 4 bonus seconds, Elisa Longoborghini takes the Women's Tour. For the 3rd time this week, it's Lorena Wiebes who takes the stage for Team DSM ahead of Clara Caponi, but more importantly, Elisa Longoborghini 3rd and takes those 4 bonus seconds. 50% of the stage victories this week. Lorena Wiebes, arguably the fastest sprinter in the world.
Actually, it's not exactly how we hoped for, because the plan was to sprint with Charlotta. But at the end, we were not together anymore. And then, I went, and then I saw she was not in my wheel anymore because of the technical, less corners, I think. I don't know exactly the moment where we lost each other, so I have to watch that back. So I'm a little bit disappointed also.
Today's Agin Combativity Award goes to Laura Tomasi of UAE ADQ. And the overall Agin Combativity Award goes to Grace Brown. What a week for Cams Basso's Becky Storey. She runs out as the best British rider.
I knew I had to be up there, because every second counts, and the girls really looked after me and guided me in safely, so yeah, it was a team effort.
She had it sewn up yesterday. The Pillar Sprints winner for 2022, Micah van der Down. For the 2nd year in a row, the Skoda Queen of the Mountains competition goes to Elise Chabet. The breast cancer now points jersey on the shoulders of Lorena Wiebes. Your podium, Elisa Longoborghini takes the Women's Tour for the 1st time in her career, ahead of Grace Brown and Kasia Niewiadoma. What a 6 days we have had. The previous closest finish was 2 seconds. Elisa Longoborghini wins it by 1 second from Grace Brown, 5 to Kasia Niewiadoma. Best British rider Becky Storey in 15th.
Here I am with the champion, Elisa Longoborghini. I mean, that was an incredible race today. Well done.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was incredible, especially because you don't get to see me on a sprint finish normally. But today we decided to go for bonus sprints, and after the first one I was 4th, and I was like, okay, second it is. And but my teammates kept me up, and they were like, no, we go for the finish. And I'm like, are you sure? And they were really believing in me, and they did an amazing job. They led me out perfectly, and then I felt like I really had to finish it off for them.
Yeah,
so,
and 6 days of racing came down to that 1 second, really.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive that for 6 days long we are battling, and then in the end it's only 1 second. But this is cycling, and it's amazing also for this reason.
Yeah, and I can tell, you've been quite emotional. It means a lot to you.
Yeah, it means a lot for me, because it hasn't been an easy spring for me, and then I built up again. I went on altitude, and I'm back to my level, to my normal level, and I'm pretty happy to be at this level already after a break and after an altitude training. So yeah, it gives me morale.
Well, congratulations to you, the champion of the Women's Tour 2022. What an incredible week it's been. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. We'll see you next time.